Oklahoma State's new defensive back coach, Jules Montinar, currently has 10 cornerbacks on roster. 6 of those are redshirt seniors, meaning this is clearly one of the biggest positions of need in recruiting. So let's hit the highlights and break down some of the top 5 guys that could become Cowboys soon enough.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at Aldeo State. Today, we're partially brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment matter more, especially right now when new customers can get $150 back in bonus bets if your first $5 bet is a winner. Make sure that you swing on over to FanDuel.com to get started today. Meanwhile, we get started in the DBs conversation. Get your orange on because it's Friday and it feels good. And obviously, we needed to kind of dip back into the film review section. Shout out to the regulars, a.k.a. regulators. It's time for us to get the mounting up thing rocking and rolling here because we had one of the best months in the country last month, and we're having a rough go of it this time. So we went back old school. We dove into the film. Oklahoma State currently has 24 individuals that are offered via cornerback or, athletically speaking, classification of an athlete that can play cornerback as well. So we decided to go in the film, the highlights, and break some of that down and give you a top 5. Now, of course, there's going to be some scenarios where Oklahoma State's not exactly in the running for some individuals. So we tried to kind of look over the guys that have offers, that have Oklahoma State scheduled as visits or has taken visits in the past, and that will allow us to get this breakdown. So let's jump right off into it. You guys know how I feel about Jules Montinar. I firmly believe he's one of the best hires that we picked up in all of this process. So shout out to Mike Gundy for getting that done. I do think we're going to see an uptick in the cornerback room. And, of course, you did bring in some guys like J.K. Johnson from LSU and Jaylin Davies from UCLA that should be able to provide a very good senior-laden spark on top of guys like Cam Smith that have now been in the system for years. Having an overabundance of seniors doesn't always indicate that you're going to have a ton of success, but with Jules Montinar at the helm, I feel confident about it. I also feel confident in his abilities out on the recruiting trail. So we're not going to be out on very many individuals. So let's kick this thing off. Jason Bradford is a 6'3", 195-pound corner from Temple, Texas. He's a 4-star, 90 overall, 247 rating, top 20 cornerback in the country, number 32 nationally. Stats, lives matter. And unfortunately, statistically, that doesn't add up, right? It has on Max Preps that he's had 28 tackles and 1 interception, which we know is not true because he had like 6 picks just in the highlight reel. This is Kendall Daniels if he were to play cornerback, especially coming out of high school. Kendall Daniels was the 4-star, number 1 player in the state of Oklahoma. Obviously, went to A&M originally, came back to Oklahoma State. It started off so promising because of his tenacity, his ability to move laterally side to side and be a mismatch for anybody coming up to try to block him, especially when he was allowed to get loose out on the edge. Jason Bradford is the cornerback version of Kendall Daniels, especially coming out of high school, even his freshman year in Stillwater. He can put on the full court press man, and yes, he did play basketball. He's too strong. He's too fluid to block. He has a very high IQ, has great communication. He takes away one side of the field. So most teams don't really try to go after him. And when they do, they'll put like a quads formation or a trip set to try to get him to get crossed up with all of the route trees. But his communication skills are next level, indicating his high IQ, and he's able to help everybody sift through the craziness and get to the ball carrier. Whether it be one-on-one, man, if he's got multiple wide receivers, it doesn't matter. He's able to sift through all of the nonsense and find the ball. So having good eye discipline is one of the biggest knocks that we had on Kendall Daniels, and Jason Bradford has that in spades already. We mentioned the basketball acumen. He's a Division 12, 6A honorable mention, all-district basketball player as a shooting guard for the Wildcats. He also runs the open 200-meter. We are going to have to compete with KU, Texas Tech, Arizona State, TCU, Houston Texas State and Sacramento State are names that we need to start paying a little bit more attention to. He's also taken multiple visits to Texas, but it doesn't appear as though they've pulled the trigger on an offer quite yet. Let's move on here. Braden Presley, the Bixby, Oklahoma legacy. Brennan Presley, we obviously have seen what he's been able to do, the all-time receptions leader at Oklahoma State. Braden Presley somehow is significantly bigger than his brothers. Both Brennan and Braylon were in the 5'7", 5'8" range. Braden Presley, 6'2", 185 pounds. This previous season, he had so many outstanding plays that he's able to kind of do multiple things all over the field. He comes in with 42 tackles, 35 of those being solo, 4 interceptions, multiple pass breakups, 100-yard fumble return, and much like his brothers, he can get in on the action offensively as well. He's got 209 kick return yards. He's got 311 punt return yards, bringing his total to 520 return yards with 11 touchdowns. Plus, he also threw in another 245 yards rushing on just 14 carries. From a recruiting perspective, we are battling Boston College, Kansas, OU, Texas Tech, Purdue, Arkansas, Tulsa, and UNLV. Victor Lincoln is the next individual we need to bring up here. 6 foot, 165 pounds from Lancaster, Texas. We like to say film don't lie, stats lives matter, so on and so forth. Victor Lincoln utilizes the sidelines as an extra defender extremely well. His eye discipline is very comparable to Jason Bradford. And if you're a quarterback that has a tendency to eye down your receivers too long, Victor Lincoln will be a problem. He'll make you pay for it, and he will go pick the ball. He doesn't bite on double moves. He has very good hips coming in and out of breaks. So he's running seamlessly with the wide receivers, showing his understanding of route combinations. Purdue and Texas Tech seem to be the crystal ball style leaders for this individual right now, but we're also fighting Arkansas, Baylor, Kansas State, Boston College, Nebraska, Pitt, SMU, Washington State, and of course, Texas State pops up once again. Let's keep this thing moving along here. Next, I have Xavier Harmon, 6'2", 183-pound corner from Conroe, Texas. I have had the ability to see this young man in the 7-on-7 circuit and seen or heard some of the things that he's done outside of the film room that makes him spectacular. Wide receivers literally argue about him covering them. So they'll try to kind of deviate the play away from where he's at, and they'll get in little tit for tats. And it's kind of interesting to see when there's a fear of going up against somebody. You have a pretty good indication on how that's going to translate to the college game, because he absolutely loves football. He hates wide receivers. He's a menace on the field and on the court because he's 6'2", 183 pounds, and he plays forward, a.k.a. he's the team enforcer. He's a Rivals 3-star, but that doesn't matter when you're fighting Texas A&M, TCU, Pitt, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Michigan State, LSU, K-State, Florida, Duke, Arkansas, Arizona, and yes, SMU and Utah seem to be kind of leading the clubhouse here. But again, with Jules Montinar and the ability to get Oklahoma State back to the levels it should be, if we end up back in Arlington again, we're opening these doors. Plus, you have Jules Montinar that I believe in wholeheartedly. Next, we have to kind of throw a little wrench in this thing here, because I have a surprise guy, and Rocky Dunn, 6'1", 185-pound defensive back from Melissa. If Xavier Harmon is a vicious menace, then Rocky Dunn is an ambulance on standby kind of guy. He's the dude you want to have in a bar fight, street fight, field fight, doesn't matter. Whatever kind of fight, he's the guy. Blitzing, bailing in coverage, isolating wide receivers. They all equal him smashing people into and through the turf. Malcolm Rodriguez-esque. Malcolm had that wrestling background. He also is somebody who moved all over from different safety positions and then eventually ended up at linebacker. And the reason I had to add a caveat here is we have another individual to talk about as well, because Rocky Dunn plays safety. He's good enough, quick enough, fast enough, reads the field well enough, in my opinion, to play corner. But from a weight perspective, he might be an individual that just continues to get bigger. So he might end up as a safety after all. But nonetheless, this could also be a 2-for-1 special, because his brother, Lincoln Dunn, is a 5'10", 175-pound wide receiver who is also a Texas State champion in the 100 meters, running a 10.36. He also ran a 21.9 200 and a 41.5 400. Ladies and gentlemen, that is faster than Haas, faster than Brennan Presley, faster than Talon Shetron. It's even faster than Jalen Lloyd, the Nebraska transfer wide receiver who won a national championship in 2022 in track and field. Of course, he won his natty in the long jump, but he's a 60-meter guy who also did run the 100 meters, and his 100-meter time was 10.43. So you got Lincoln Dunn running a 10.36, and you got Jalen Lloyd running a 10.43. To put it even more into perspective, Xavier Worthy, who just put in one of the best 40 times in NFL Combine history with a 4.21, he ran a 10.65. He committed to Army, so his brother Rocky is also considering Army with Pitt, UCF, UTEP, UTSA, Coastal Carolina, Louisiana Tech, Texas State, and again, Sacramento State. Sacramento State is interesting because they now have the go-go Brendan Marion offense. Several UNLV guys, Fresno State, San Diego State dudes transferred in. And if you look at the roster, he was also able to convince some Oregon State, Nebraska, UCLA, Cal, and Colorado State dudes. Not to mention they got Cardell Williams, the Tulsa quarterback, plus Rodney Hammonds Jr., the Pitt running back that's rushed for over 1,500 yards. So Sacramento State is not a fluke. Whenever you see their name lumped in with a lot of these recruiting battles, it's because it does make some sense. And, the Cowboys, from what I was told, Brendan Marion was pretty close to being a guy, but there was some discrepancies in regards to the UNLV NIL fiasco that kind of went down. So nonetheless, we need to pay attention a little bit more to Sac State. Moving on, because Rocky Dunn might not end up as a cornerback. And Lincoln Dunn, by the way, he's coming off of a 2-year mission. So he committed to Army, was going to go to Army, but he's doing the 2-year mission. Now he's coming back from the 2-year mission. Could he still go to Army? Likely, yes. But the possibilities in recruiting should open up a little bit more for him because you can't teach that kind of speed. And if you get a 2-for-1 special, that is flawless for the Oklahoma State model. So just in case Rocky Dunn does, in fact, end up as a safety, I got an extra one. Marcel Gibson, 5'10", 170-pound cornerback from South Oak Cliff in Dallas. His dad, Tayshawn, played 11 years in the NFL. He was also a Pro Bowler in that time. Marcel has 73 tackles after exploding with just one massive season of 41 tackles alone in 2023. He can be a return specialist if needed. And now we're battling the likes of Ole Miss, Oregon, SMU, Nebraska, Pitt, Washington, Wisconsin, Texas State, and, of course, Taco Recum Tech. So those are the dudes that I've kind of broke down in some of the film aspects that make a whole lot of sense. KU has one of the top cornerbacks in the country, but he's a Kansas guy, so I'd imagine that's probably going to stick, which is why I didn't throw him in this mix. But these are individuals that we either have offers out to or have been on campus to take visits. Some of them have taken multiple visits, whether it be unofficial, official, whatever the case may be. So these are the guys that we have targeted, that we have offers out to, or we've brought into Stillwater on multiple occasions that I hope could be part of the DB room here before too long. Because I believe in Jules Montinar, and so should you, and so should these recruits. Speaking of believing, you already know what to do. Ladies and gentlemen, FanDuel is, of course, the bee's knees for all of your needs when you're trying to get your monetary gain section up. It is NBA season, and when the tip-off starts, you want to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip or you want to bet on just the fourth quarter comebacks, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets with the same game parlay. You're going to love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether you're backing your favorite team or you're looking for a late game rally or you're simply just picking the next player to hit the clutch three that wins it, you can never feel like you missed out on your opportunities if you have FanDuel. Plus, the app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. When you get paid instantly, it's also a benefit. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 back in bonus bets if your first $5 bet is a winner. Make sure that you visit FanDuel.com to join today. That is FanDuel.com for your shot at 150 bones back in bonus bets. Make every single moment matter more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. So now we get to jump into a topic that is obviously popular around Oklahoma State, and we've kind of covered this to some degree previously. Of course, the Dr. Kayse Shrum decided to resign after some things had kind of come out about possibly misappropriating funds. Now, the backstory I've kind of gotten is this is a little bit of donors being mad about some of the naming rights that came forth. And Boone obviously had money that was designed to be earmarked and located here. And you have to give a certain amount to have naming rights on buildings and things of that nature. And it seemed to get a little wild and wonky. And some of those individuals happen to have buddies in the Board of Regents. And then we finally get this thing out from NDOC or whatever the heck it's called. Anyway, so somebody put out this report to some degree, non-doc, and they tried to talk about how Dr. Kayse Shrum evidently had like $55 million going some places where it wasn't supposed to, and another $11 million that seems to be classified in a wrong kind of category. And then Dr. Kayse Shrum decided to stick up for herself. Good for her. She came out and finally gave a synopsis on this non-doc thing that threw out all of these accusations about the misappropriation and money being kind of funny, going certain places and so on and so forth. Here's what Dr. Kayse Shrum had to say. Most importantly, there's absolutely no money missing. No state money has been taken. All of the money is still in OSU accounts and was spent on delivering education and research per the mission of the university. Second, as president of the university, I utilized the legal counsel of the Board of Regents. The transfer of funds from OSUMA to OSU was approved by the Board of Regents with input from legal counsel. The Research Institute from legal counsel Research Institute structures of the Innovation Foundation was presented to the Board of Regents on multiple occasions, and the regrets have members serving on the Innovation Foundation Board. The Regents, sorry. Third, I do not have any knowledge that any laws were broken. To my knowledge, absolutely nothing was done that was wrong or inappropriate. My training is as a physician, not a lawyer, and I relied upon the legal advice that the Board of Regents were giving me. Any implication that anything was done wrong based on everything that I knew during my tenure as president is simply not accurate. So then you dive a little bit further and you do some research into this non-doc thingy, and turns out it was started by an individual that did not go to Oklahoma State, and he did run for some semblance of office, but he lost in a race to Jim Inhofe, and then he created this thing to be like a trusted media source. Now, we all know that the trusted media source debate could go on and on for days, but it does seem kind of odd because that would mean that he's not on Governor Stitt's side. And there has been a lot of people talking about this was a Governor Stitt thing, and this is just setting Governor Stitt to be a president of some degree at Oklahoma State because, he has a big hand in the Board of Regents. He's got friends on the Board of Regents. But I was always informed that him and Dr. Kayse Shrum were friends. And Dr. Kayse Shrum does have aspirations to jump into the political realm at some point in time in her career. So it just seemed odd to me that if Governor Stitt and Dr. Kayse Shrum are friends and they have a good relationship, why would he have a hand in potentially helping get Dr. Shrum pushed out? So I'm so happy that she put out the statement because she is putting this on the Board of Regents. And it does, in my opinion, add validity to the insanity that has been going on with the Board of Regents. They looked weak. They looked feckless. They looked ridiculous. They didn't like it. They had an axe to grind. They were mad at Dr. Kayse Shrum before the Mike Gundy stuff, but that seemed to me the last straw for them. They could not accept that level of egg on their face. They wanted to pretend that they still had some teeth and they still had some muscles. So they did some digging and found some ridiculousness. But again, Dr. Kayse Shrum has said, I'm not a lawyer. That's not what I do. So everything I did do, I made sure I got approval from them. And then them equaled her having a resignation. So this seems, again, very clear that after her statement, what they're putting out, it stems from something deeper. There's some disdain by some individuals in the Board of Regents towards Dr. Shrum. And if yes, people have floated around the idea that she was getting too powerful because Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark did approach her about being on one of the committees on behalf of the Big 12. And that would have given her much more of a national view, which could have helped in her political landscape. later on, and maybe that irritated Stitt, so on and so forth. I don't necessarily buy all that. I do buy what she's saying because of some of the other things I've heard previously in regards to the Boone, the naming rights, the money, and him not being alive, and other people thinking that they gave more, so they want their name on stuff, and yada, 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 yada. It's just the power vacuum in Stillwater, Oklahoma is not good. And we talked the other day about needing another Boone. The problem is none of these individuals want to put up anywhere near Boone money, but they all want to be the next Boone. And some of them have buddies in the Board of Regents. This is turning into like a backstabbing circus that is not good for the outlook of the university. And now ticket prices have gone up. The posse has gone up. The donation servicing has gone up. All of the pricing has gone up. And we went from a massive surplus in 2021 to not really having much of one now. We seem to be hurting. And the Board of Regents wants the fan base to believe that it's Dr. Kayse Shrum's fault. And Dr. Shrum is coming out and saying, no. I got everything approved from you. You people did this to me to maybe set me up to be a scapegoat. That's exactly what this looks like. So is it a political hit job? Absolutely. It appears that way. Is it the Governor Stitt, trying to get her removed so he can be the president later? I don't necessarily know if I buy that. If that is the case, then poo-poo on Governor Stitt, because that's a snake in the grass treatment right there. But there's layers to this, and it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't add up. What does add up is the fact that they looked ridiculous and they don't like it, and they wanted to do something about it. It has me concerned. I mean, I'm concerned for Chad Weiberg, not only because of that, but because of the financial constraints that we seemingly have right now. Not a good look, not a great time to be a student on campus, because they absolutely love Shrum. And they're backing Shrum, and it appears as though they should be. And it appears as though we should absolutely hate the Board of Regents. Like, I know it's a necessary evil, but goodness me, this has gotten childish and petty and ridiculous, and I hate it. But I tell you what I don't hate. I don't hate my beautiful Infiniti sitting outside, so you should join the Nissan team too. That's right. Nissan is here to explain to all of us that numbers do not lie. And when it comes to the new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the entire team, plus the gear, plus whatever else you need, wherever you need to go. It is powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, which is going to give you some fuel efficiency, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. When you can seat up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, and it's built for you. Big adventures and making massive memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or you're just simply rolling up to an arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you're rolling. Take your big adventure to new heights with the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more about NissanUSA.com. You got to get in on this Pro 4X suspension system because it is the bee's knees. Get with NissanUSA.com so you can be part of the Nissan and Infiniti family. All right, so now we get to shift gears here once again to a little bit of baseball action. And the Cowboys had a little funky 2-game series against Winthrop. And you know what, guys? Winthrop's pretty good. I know it's going to sound like, oh, this guy's just covering up for Oklahoma State's ridiculous loss. But when it comes to small ball, they were peppering the gaps all day. They were beating us most of both games. They're a very squared away bunch. They have really good pitching. And whenever I looked at the roster, I was like, well, if they're this good, then they must have a bunch of crazy transfers, but they don't. They just have a bunch of JUCO dudes and a bunch of high school kids. So this is all coaching, phenomenal coaching at that, because they haven't really been a D1 program in baseball for all that long. They haven't been super successful, to my knowledge, for all that long. So congratulations to them. This is a huge feather in the cap because they did win the second game. After winning most of the first game, we did get a Nolan Schubert bomb, thankfully, to win game one. Game two, it got ugly. It got ugly fairly quickly. We were walking some dudes, hitting some dudes, and again, they were peppering gaps like it was nobody's business. They were doing like the run and slap button thing. Again, the epitome of small ball is what Winthrop is, and it won them the ball game. Oklahoma State does have something to celebrate, though, as a few Cowboys have been inducted into the Oklahoma State Hall of Fame. And all of these individuals at certain points in time have offered massive memories. Jason Gemarillo, Brennan McCurry, and Tim Rogers. And this is kind of imperative that we talk about this because I've talked about the Brennan McCurry, Donnie Walton, days where we were a small ball club and we had position players that would hop on the mound and do some pitching and then hop back out in the field and they would hit 340 with multiple RBIs. We're a long ball team. I love it to some degree, but these dudes accentuate some of the history of Cowboy baseball. Jason Gemarillo was a Cowboy from 02 to 04. He was a two-time All-American catcher, obviously all Big 12 status multiple years as well. In 164 career games, the switch-hitting Gemarillo posted a .359 batting average with 20 bombs and 116 RBIs. He had 38 doubles and recorded a .538 slugging percentage. Brennan McCurry, another one of those dudes that was the backbone of the Cowboy way for such a long time. 2013 and 14, he kind of blew up. He became All-American both years. He's one of the top closers, if not the top closer in Oklahoma State history in 64 appearances. He had a 15-6 record with a 1.54 ERA, set the Oklahoma State career saves record with 27. And 93 2/3 innings, he racked up 89 Ks. The two-way player that did everything is a little bit of what we need now, in my personal opinion. He's a native of Tupelo, Oklahoma. He was drafted by the Oakland A's in the 22nd round. He played 6 pro seasons, including 4 of those at AAA level. He had 19 wins, 71 saves, and ended with a 3.1 ERA on 406 Ks and 337 innings. Then you have an old school dude, Tim Rogers, back in the Gary Ward era. And, somebody was just telling me the other day that in the Gary Ward era, we were terrible at pitching. Well, Tim Rogers, in his first season in 1979, went 8-1 with a 3.1 ERA. He turned that around, but with a 6-3 record in 1980 and 81. He helped the Cowboys to the College World Series in Omaha, where we flip and belong. He had 6 complete games in 11 starts. He was an 11th-round pick by the Toronto Blue Jays in the 81 draft, played 7 seasons in the pros, including 3 of those in AAA. You can see that at okstate.com. Make sure you go check some of that stuff out. The Cowboys now get to play a real 3-game series against Illinois State. We got to figure something out. Hopefully we can find the ability to play some small ball to go along with the massive slugging percentage home run crew that we do have. Defensively, we had a couple things hurt us, errors-wise. We didn't look as crisp the other day against Winthrop, so we have a lot to iron out. The beauty is we've already beaten some of the top teams in the country, the top teams in the SEC, and we've also lost a couple games that we should have won against top 15, top 5 talent. But I joked earlier. I said, hey, guys, watch. We'll beat Tennessee, Mississippi State, A&M, and then we'll lose to Winthrop. Well, we didn't beat Tennessee, but we did beat the other 2, and we did turn around and lose to Winthrop. So that almost feels like that's the season that we can have. Much like Cowgirl basketball, who plays to their level of competition. If you're a top 10 team, we're going to play you like a top 10 team. If you're a bottom 10 team, sometimes we'll play you that way too. Baseball might be the same. We're trying to figure out our midweek guys. We like the freshmen in Weck and Lund, and I love Matthew Brown. But obviously, Rob Walton's not fully up on, what their pitch count's going to be and what their strengths are going to be and where they're going to fit into the lineup. I don't know where in tarnation Brendan Phillips went. I'd like to see that dude. I'd like to see more of Ryan Ure, but hopefully Illinois State gets us back on track. And congratulations to the Cowboys that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. All righty, y'all. That's all we're going to have for this one right here. As always, you know I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere, so happy you choose to be here. Go ahead and hit the like button. My podcast people, do what you do. Hit the stars. Leave a review. All righty, y'all. Later, taters.